Texans at the Ravens. Ravens minus 9.5. Over under a 43.5. A really big spread for a total that low. Of course, will soon to be two-time MVP Lamar Jackson hosting soon to be one-time Offensive Rookie of the Year CJ Stroud, who was just phenomenal in the wild card round against a dynamic Cleveland defense, albeit one that has struggled mightily on the road. RJ, how do you? This is the first of two games where we have a monster spread with a team coming off the bye. How do you see this playing out? I mean, where are you at too with CJ Stroud and like fading him because he's just doing stuff that rookies don't normally do at this point?
And he's doing it against questionable competition. Let's say Houston, the teams that they played haven't been great, especially on the offensive sides. Their defense in particular hasn't faced an offense that finished higher than 14th in yards per play since the first week when they played Baltimore. This is a massive step up for their defense. I think it's going to be a tough spot for them. And the question is whether CJ Stroud can catch up if he's in this negative game script all game. So I guess we'll find out. He seems talented enough to be able to do that. My lean would be to the Ravens, but I liked it when we could get 8.5 at the beginning of the week. My pick for this game, my bet for this game is going to be Baltimore minus 5.5 in the first half. I don't think that's that hard of a number to accomplish in the first half of a game where they're expected to dominate. And I think they're going to be rested, so they're going to be ready to go. And it's going to take Houston a little bit of feeling out to figure out how to solve this defense that has played really well all season. So Houston's defense typically great versus the run, struggles versus the pass, but the Ravens can do both well. Third in yards per rush, third in yards per pass. They can get their yards and their points however they need to. So I like taking the Ravens on the first half line at minus 5.5 since we're getting under that key number of 6, where you could see some field goals in play there. But yeah, it's been a great season for Houston. Don't want to take anything away from them. They could certainly go out and win this game, but everything we've seen from Baltimore this year, I just don't think it's going to happen with how good Baltimore's been.
Alex, we've got Katie with the Texans plus 9.5. Not surprised there. She loved the Texans against the Browns. Also has CJ Stroud over 34.5 pass attempts. I'm curious. I mean, I'm not questioning the bets at all because she's beating me out straight up. But and I guess you could argue that the correlation there, and I'm not saying that would be that if CJ Stroud's throwing a ton, they're losing. I guess I'm wondering how those two necessarily mesh. Maybe it's I think it almost has to be a backdoor cover if it's over 34.5, which there's nothing wrong with that. Houston could absolutely do it. It dovetails right in with what RJ's saying about the first half line, but just curious the thought process there from her.
Yeah, I'll try to just break down each bet individually, see where they kind of overlap. But I know as far as the backing the Texans at 9.5 is concerned, I think she just feels Houston is playing with house money at this point. Really, what do they have to lose? Everyone's expecting Baltimore to roll on them. CJ Stroud has defied all expectations all season long. Just looks like a 5-year veteran, much less a rookie. Extremely poised, extremely comfortable. I know this is a really tough spot for him, but I just think they're playing with house money in this spot. So I think 10 points is a big total considering the total is 43.5 points. And then as far as his passing attempts prop of over 34.5 attempts. As far as his personal props are concerned, I know Baltimore has an excellent pass defense. I know, she anticipates they're going to be trailing in this game. Efficiency might be an issue. So I do think we'll see a lot of volume from CJ Stroud. I believe when these teams first hooked up, he had 44 pass attempts, if I'm not mistaken. So I do anticipate CJ Stroud having to air the ball out if they are playing catch up a bit in the second half. I do like the fact that she's taking a volume-based approach rather than efficiency compared to like a completions prop.
And interesting there, you talk about that first game. I mean, the line was about the same as it is now, 9.5. And it turns out the Texans are much better than we thought. They were longest shot to win the Super Bowl at that point of the year going into the season. And now they're one of the final 8 teams. But I would argue that the Ravens might actually be better, but to a higher degree than we thought. Coming in the season, we thought they were pretty good, but they might be historically good. We've been tracking DVOA and they've been ranking very high on that list all year. And this team just might be one of those dominant teams that runs to the Super Bowl. And it feels like they're not really that close to the other teams in the AFC. So, I think a lot of the assumption is that if they're going to cover this number, CJ Stroud's going to have a good game because their passing offense has been very good and very efficient. But Baltimore is first in yards per pass with big wins against elite pass offenses like San Francisco and Miami. And I don't see why this game might not fall in that similar bucket where they can blow out a team that typically is very good passing the ball.
I would tend to agree. I think Baltimore is that good as well. But my bet from this game is I like the under 43.5 points for a variety of reasons. As far as Houston's concerned, we've seen CJ Stroud primarily playing inside of a dome with optimal conditions. This game's obviously going to be outside, frigid temperatures, going some wind that could affect him. Baltimore's pass defense is absolutely elite. First in EPA allowed per drop back. I think they're going to really have success slowing down Houston's passing offense, especially I think, CJ Stroud's played so well without Tank Dell. I think it's going to really show up in this matchup. I believe Baltimore is going to successfully be able to neutralize Nico Collins, who's really played fantastic down the stretch, but with no other real options in the passing game as far as guys who can take the top off of a defense. I feel like they're going to really key in on Nico Collins. As far as Baltimore's offense is concerned, they haven't played a meaningful game for 3 weeks. They obviously had the bye there. I do expect a little bit of rust from Baltimore, so it might take them a quarter to really kind of get into a rhythm. I also think we're going to see them attack Houston. We just know Baltimore runs the football a ton. So, yeah, I just think the under in this spot, I think they're going to really shut down Houston's offense. And then maybe in the second half, play a little ball control style offense, keep away from CJ Stroud. So, yeah, I think all signs point to the under here, 43.5.
I think there's a decent chance that we could get every single one of these bets that we have in here at home. I've actually got the over receptions. Devin Singletary, it's at 2.5. He had 3 receptions against the Browns in a 45-14 win. Now he's got a rookie quarterback. And I guess you could argue that they leave him in to protect, against this Mike McDonald defense that sends a bunch of exotic pressures or at least like the fake out, flood the line of scrimmage and then drop guys, sort of like it's not like I don't know if it's a zone blitz. I don't know what you would call it specifically, but the whole point is I think, this is going to be something that CJ Stroud hadn't seen since back in week 1. And he didn't see the really finished product of it, although Baltimore played really well. I like the Ravens a lot in this game. I do think, though, that for my prop purposes, it's not my favorite spread bet, although I like that first half. Is that your wild card or is that your spread bet?
That is my spread bet. Now I understand why you said minus 136 at the top, because this is a minus 136 bet. So Vincent already fudging the rules here.
As someone who stupidly took a 16 parlay at 20-1 last week, I am going to – and just lost a unit. It was just stupid. It was stupid. I'm going to take the 6 cents here and fudge a little bit. Okay. Is that all right with everybody?
Hey, you're running the show, so yeah. We'll follow your rules.
By the way, did you? I got a real no guest appearance on other podcasts, but I got some serious podcast heat elsewhere this week. I got it blown up. People were like, dude, go look at Joe Rogan's latest show. He's talking about John Daly and his intake at the Wyndham Championship back in 2008 was I had this tweet that has gone viral on Instagram 7 billion times. Trump Jr. shared it and Zaire Golf shared it because I followed Daly when we worked at Fan House RJ. I followed Daly around and counted how many cigs he smoked and how many Diet Cokes he had, and he the final total is 12 Diet Cokes, 21 cigs, and 4 packs of peanut butter or peanut M&Ms, no water at all. And Rogan and Ron White started talking about that, and then Pete Prisco was on Pardon My Take and slandered me. If HR is listening, I want you to actually don't check that out because who knows what else was said. But there's some things said about me that, frankly, I think should be reported to the company, and Pete should have charges filed against him. Anyway, carrying on. Next game.
I clipped around hoping to get you like, okay, it's at least minus 130 at another site, and every other site it's worse odds. So this is
I'm taking the liberty of minus 136. We let Katie have a minus 200 on Christian McCaffrey anytime touchdown during the season. This is my one liberty, RJ. You know me, I play by the rules.
Yeah, we'll give it to you. You're behind, so you need to catch up. We'll give it to you.
Thank you. I appreciate your sympathy.